again. It's Lorne Rubenstein here, and I'm with Jesse Primerano, who's going to tell us his very interesting story of more and more involvement with Temple Sinai in a number of capacities. Perhaps to start, Jesse, you could relate the sort of spark that got you into such involvement.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I grew up at Temple. I was there straight from, nursery school all the way up through to confirmation, had my bar mitzvah there, went through Hebrew school. I think the first step would definitely have been confirmation for me, going through that and having the opportunity to volunteer and be out in the community with Rabbi Dolgan, Dr. Ira Schweitzer. It gave me a bit of a sense of, we can say, empowerment, and it gave me a bit of a further desire to stay involved in the Jewish community. But the big moment for me was traveling to Belgium with Rabbi Dolgan in 2014. He took us, a few of my contemporaries and I, to a conference in Brussels, Belgium. We had the opportunity to learn about social justice, leadership, issues of Reform Judaism, globally around the world, in Israel and outside. And I think, like I said before, it created a sense of adulthood and empowerment and relatability, I guess, to the Jewish community, and really sparked that interest to stay involved.
It's interesting. I mean, your story of the beginning of your involvement can suggest to others that, in a sense, you never know what is going to light that match for somebody, but you have to be open enough to try new experiences. Because, you were still fairly young, and you still feel quite young, but in 2014, and you put yourself out there to go to Belgium and open yourself up to new experiences.
I think that it actually speaks to an important turning point in my life. Around that time, I was just graduating high school, starting university, and I didn't know necessarily what my direction was. And I think also personally, I didn't know a ton about myself and where I wanted to see myself next. And those years, like you said, just trying things and being open to new things really helped me figure out what that next step on the path was.
And where did you go from there in terms of the next steps? What would you consider the sort of significant next step after going to Belgium?
So in Belgium, I was actually there. One of my contemporaries, Alessandra Orlana, she had been running the youth program at Temple Sinai to that point and was going back to school and had to step away. She suggested it would be something great for me to try and do. Like I said, I was looking for ways to give back, and I thought, for a year or two, this might be something nice to stay involved with Temple. I'm now entering my 7th year in the role. We've done phenomenal things over the last 7 years. We have a weekly youth program every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, in the loft until 7:30. We have pizza, we hang out, we do social action programs, some fun stuff as well. And that's been going on week after week for 7 years. And we've seen tremendous growth. It's been absolutely wonderful to be a part of. And the travel program as well. The travel program, we have seen phenomenal numbers, obviously, but also what's happened post-trip. We're seeing kids coming on our trips from grade 6 all the way up to grade 10, and it's creating that same sense of involvement for them that I found when I went to Belgium. And so we're really trying to capture that and, create that connection to Temple Sinai through travel.
Now, you also have a program, I believe, that you kind of refer to it as a staycation. What are the details there?
So traditionally, our travel program, like I said, goes from grade 7 till the end of high school. It's Niagara Falls, Boston, Washington, New York, Israel. And something that we've started to do over the last, I think it's now 4 years, is a trip for our grade 6 students. So obviously grade 6, pretty young. We're not really ready to take them out of town yet. But what we do instead is we take them to downtown Toronto. I work very closely with the teen leaders within our community to build a great program. And then the teens join me the weekend as counselors on the trip. And so what this does is it allows a bit of facilitation and leadership experience for the teens, and it also allows those grade 6s to experience our travel program in a more comfortable way for them before jumping in, full force in grade 7. And the numbers, like I said before, the numbers have grown year over year. We have too many teens to choose from in terms of who's willing to participate. And I think for me, that's the biggest goal.
How important, I'm curious, is social media to what you do? Instagram, anything else? There are things happening there too to draw attention to what you're involved in and the outreach, I guess you might say.
Yeah, so the outreach over the years, we've done a great job of doing outreach in a more traditional way, right? We've grown this youth group over the last 7 years, tenfold. without social media. And I think we finally hit this point this year where we said, all right, if we want to take the next step, we got to get on social media. We got to make sure we have that presence. And so we started an account. I'd love, to share it with you and anyone else might be watching. It's LOTSY Group. That's LOTSSY Group. LOTSY, just an FYI, stands for the League of Temple Sinai Senior Youth. So that's our senior youth group from grade 9 to 12. And right now we're doing some amazing things. Obviously, it's very tough. We can't be together like we're used to, but we're meeting twice a week virtually on Zoom, Mondays and Thursdays at 4:30, doing different things. Sometimes just hanging out, having a chat. Sometimes we're cooking together. We've done social action programs. A couple weeks ago, our SAVP, Jada Greenbloom, she's a grade 11 student at Temple. She led us in the making of homemade cards for frontline workers at Sunnybrook. So I just, a few days ago, put those cards in the mail. They should have arrived there by now. So we're doing some really wonderful things like that as well, virtually, and all of it's being posted up on social media.
Good. That's a great way to get to people these days, that's for sure. I think you referred just briefly, without naming it, to your weekly lounge night. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're on 4:30 to 6 o'clock every Monday and every Thursday. It's a very social, open environment. So if you haven't been before, I wouldn't advise against it. I would say come on out, feel comfortable, and feel comfortable in knowing that you're going to be welcomed with open arms. And then as soon as we can get back in person again, we'll be back up in the loft at Temple, which a lot of people don't know about actually, but it's an apartment sort of on the back side of the building on the third floor that used to be for the caretaker. The caretaker used to live on site. We've converted it into a youth lounge. Got a kitchen, couches, beanbag chairs. It's a really cool space for teens to hang out. And we're there every Tuesday night once things go back to normal. So looking forward to that.
Well, it's a pleasure to hear about all of the different aspects of your involvement with Temple, Jesse, and continued success. And I know you and your associates will rise to meet the challenges of the day and come up with exciting programs for everybody. Thank you very much for joining us on Sinai Stories.
Thank you, Lorne. Have a great day.